Hey guys, what's up? It's Sean, Autotopia LA. And man, I'm just stoked on this one today. This is a car I've been wanting to shoot for quite some time and our schedules just haven't been working out. My friend TJ has brought over his 33 Plymouth. Now, as you can tell from a quick look, this car is far from a stock original car. This is a heavy duty build. TJ is another friend of mine that's a real hot shit young fabricator. I'm not even gonna try to give you one detail on it other than it's a 33 Plymouth. We're gonna start there. TJ and I are gonna go for a drive and talk about his car because the build that he did here is just unbelievable, from the physical look of it to what's going on here mechanically. And he drives the hell out of this thing. I've seen him doing burnouts, I've seen him doing donuts. This car was on Hoonigan. So we are gonna have a blast in this episode. I can't wait to go for a ride in this thing and talk through the details. You guys are gonna be blown away by this car. Hold on, because here we go, man. Wow, this is so cool. I can't believe I'm finally going in this thing. All right, you guys, here we go for a ride in my buddy TJ's sick, insane 33 Plymouth. It's my friend TJ. So we're gonna dig in, dude. There's so much to talk about. Your car, obviously, you know. When did you buy the car?
This car was Denzel Washington's car in The Great Debaters.
Really?
It was all original, running, driving, full fender, straight six, kind of like a barn find, original paint, old, mean, gangster looking. I worked at a picture car studio, and for 6 months it sat in the parking lot. And I just kept looking, I was like, man, that thing has got such potential. I kept bugging the boss about it, but he didn't want to get rid of it. And then about a half a year later, I did some work for him and gave him an invoice, and it's like, oh man, I didn't know it was going to be that much. I was like, this is perfect. I'll tear up the invoice, you give me the car. So, tore up the invoice, gave me the keys, that was that.
How many years ago? When did you buy it?
This is about 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. But I drove it, all original, for about 6 months. Me and all my buddies and the girls got dressed up as mobsters and cruised around on Halloween and had the time of our lives. We blew the transmission up driving that night, and then that was it. I was like, all right, that's a sign. So I lifted the body off the chassis, put everything up for sale, and a guy in Arizona who had just the shell of the car and no chassis came and picked it up, $3,500, basically what I traded the work for. And so he got to salvage his car, and I got to use what I wanted.
Because all you really wanted was the body.
Was the shell of the body. You know, I was going to do so much work to the chassis that it'd be kind of pointless to cut it up. Just start from scratch. That's what I want to do anyway, and show off our chassis building skills.
So let's start with the simplest part first, which is probably the engine.
Okay.
What's the engine in here?
Engine's a cool story too. It started off as a Marine Hemi, 1956 Chrysler Marine Hemi.
Out of a boat? Out
of a boat. It was reverse rotating. We found the motor at a junkyard in the desert. If you look at all the Plymouths, floating power, and all the badges, it's an old sailboat. The block ended up being too rusted out and not usable, but what was cool is these old Marine Hemis, along with the industrial Hemis, had adjustable rockers. When you look at the valve covers, you'll see these little nubs and dimples over them, and that was an indicator back then that they had adjustable rockers. It's got aluminum heads right now, aftermarket high flow heads. It does have an original iron block to work with, but it's as old school Hemi as you could get.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. What kind of power do you make with it?
Probably an honest 400.
Okay.
Yep, nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, I had dreams of maybe throwing a blower on it or something like that, but that's not what I want. I didn't want the car to be this mean drag racer. It's a cruiser. It's mean. It's slow. It's got attitude. And just enough horsepower to do what you want to do.
I noticed it's an auto. What's the trans in here?
700 R4 GM trans.
Sure.
As much as I want to keep everything Chrysler, I wanted to overdrive. I wanted to go highway speeds. The C cruises at like 80 miles an hour or like 2,800 RPM.
Nice.
And it's one of the things I wanted to be able to cruise it. I didn't ever want to turn down a car show or going on a long road trip because it wasn't comfortable or the motor's over revved all the time, you know. So
chassis, right?
Chassis, front to back, suspension. I mean, just looking inside here, you notice the dash, how everything comes out.
Yeah.
This was opposite. This dash is normally turned around and it's kind of concave. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, well, why not cut the thing out and give it some shape?
Yeah.
So only Plymouth guys will know. I've had one guy at a car show come up. He goes, "You cut that dash out, didn't you?" I go, "How in the hell did you know that? Only if you followed. Only somebody like me would know that." He goes, "Well, I restore and collect these things." And I thought that was the coolest. And there was a Plymouth guy that
actually
noticed
knew you
what I
had
did.
done that.
So that was pretty cool.
Let's start kind of, if we can, like front to back, and you talk me through everything.
So the grill shell's original. The grill shell, the emblems, the headlights, door handles, all the trim pieces came off this car.
Really?
Which was super cool. And I didn't polish them up and fix them up. They're pitted. You go look at the emblem. It's kind of worn down and pitted.
Yeah.
I didn't want to make like a Pebble Beach restoration. I wanted to, some of that stuff has soul and character.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep it that way. Well, the grill shell, original, but I shortened it, chopped it, and retilted it to match the angle that I wanted to put. So it just covered the front axle.
Right.
I wanted the axle to be behind the grill shell, not out in front of it. So gave everything a little bit of a tilt, chopped it, and reshaped it. Right behind that's the radiator with a fan shroud that I hammered out by hand. There was nothing that would fit it, right? So had to make one. Made a wooden buck, shaped it to the wooden buck, fit it. Cool stuff like that, and you never notice that looking underneath. It looks like a old part. The chassis, everything that is mounted to the frame. The headlight mounts are also the shock mounts. The beam, it's a 3-inch chuck beam. Started its life as an F100 truck axle that I got from some good buddies who would use those. And it was the reason why I did that. Most beams aren't wide enough. A lot of these old Ford beams are too narrow, and this is a wide car. I wanted the wheels to stick out real wide.
Yeah.
So I had to use something that's wide. It's got Willwood disc brakes inside of old Buick brake drums, which has been done before, right? That's been done. That's kind of the old HotRod trick with Buick brake drums. However, I stuffed Willwoods in there and had to make a bunch of custom hats and custom mounts to get everything hub-centric, and so it spin right and not flop around.
Right.
I wanted it to spin and kind of absorb heat and dissipate heat, kind of like the factory was. So
Yeah.
I took actual Buick brake drums and hollowed them out, machined out all the brake liner and made them light, and then opened them up and made them hub-centric, so they actually go onto the hub in between the wheel and everything else. So those spin. Everything just fits. It's got a 10-inch Willwood disc brake kit in there that just fits, and everything's vented in and vented out to keep it cool. So
Wow, man.
not just a kit, there's a lot of stuff on here that wouldn't fit with what I had, so I had to make it.
Suspension up front here.
It's called a suicide spring front axle. Basically, it's the same leaf spring that came off the F100. It's just turned parallel with the beam, and then I made shackles, made the mounts, kind of guesstimated what the ride height would be and what it's going to weigh. Got it pretty right, so it's a pretty cool feature. Suicide front axle is what that's called, and then made the radius arms.
Again, handmade.
Yep.
So let's
keep
coming back.
going to the back. The firewall. Basically, I had to cut the whole firewall and the floor out of the car to make everything fit on top of the chassis. Section part of the body and channel the underside of the body to fit over top of the frame. So custom floor, custom firewall, tunnel all the way back. If you notice right now, we're pretty much on top of the drive shaft.
Right.
Drive shaft goes all the way back. In the rear seats, you actually sit in between the drive shaft and the axle. The axle is right behind you, so everything just fits within inches.
Wow.
So I had to, in order to figure out where this driver's seat was going to go, I had to know where my motor was going to go. I had to know what it felt like to be in the back seat and have foot room, and then also have room for your back to sit right in front of the rear axle. Have the rear axle set far enough back to where the rear doors could open, but it didn't, and still keep it proportionate.
Right.
Not make it look too long, and that's a big thing. You step back from a car, any builder, even just an enthusiast, can look back and go, oh, the axle's too far back, too far forward. Same with the front. So it was really, I had to plan out everything from the grill shell to the back axle, all incorporate each other, so you're comfortable, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
The girls in the back can be comfortable. Have room for the gas tank, have room for everything to fit and function. So
Yeah.
It's got a Ford 9-inch rear end.
Okay.
With 35 spline axles, big beefy axles.
Right.
It was wide enough to where I could do what I wanted to do and keep the wheels outside of the body. Custom 4-link. It's airbagged. Custom mounts, custom link mounts. Everything I had to build to make the suspension fit and work properly.
Yeah.
That's all custom one off.
God, dude.
The fuel cell sits right on top of the rear chassis, and the very back part of the frame is 4x6 rectangular tubing that I sealed off and welded shut, and then that's the rear cross member, but that's also my air tank. So instead of having the frame and then an air tank and then a fuel cell, I had to kind of incorporate the two to make everything fit right. So the back half of the frame is my air tank.
And is it disc rear also?
Yep, disc rear.
What's the exhaust on the car?
I built it. The only thing I bought back of the mufflers. It's got 3-inch exhaust from the headers all the way back, and then after the mufflers, I put on megaphones. And that megaphone, I don't know, something about it. It sounds like a boat. It's got that throaty, open sound like you're behind an old Chris Craft or behind a big V8 boat. That the center taillight is actually off of, I think it's a late 30s, early 40s Plymouth sedan. It's got a cool look. It says Plymouth across it. It's got the same sailboat kind of logo thing. So I saw that browsing on eBay one day, and I saw that. I was like, that's the perfect center taillight for this thing. Just had to reshape it, kind of resand it down to fit the back of it. But rear seats, the floor, God, everything.
I mean, everything in here is custom, huh?
Sliding rag top.
Did this come with the car, or is this you?
No, we had to put that in. Cut that out. It's just an aftermarket sliding rag top, but it fits. It worked perfect. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a cool look to your car. And one thing, you know, we left out on the exterior parts of the car, all the copper stuff. How'd you get the...
Well, I wanted something unique. Copper is one of the first stages before chrome. So we pulled out a copper, and it was too pink. Basically, you kind of patina it down. You rattle can, basically black rattle can spray paint, and then Scotch Brite it to your desired finish, and then clear coat it so it doesn't turn green. It kept it mean, and it kept it old looking and not new, showy, Pebble Beachy.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
And I love how, I mean, you brought it throughout the whole car. This copper is
these,
such a niche.
all the door handles are original. The gauges, which was the awesomest part, the gauges are all original. I just had them cleaned up and then made...
These are your original gauges from the car?
Yeah, actually the gauges are updated.
Go this way.
However, the cluster and that whole gauge assembly is all the original cluster.
Your choices are so exceptional on this car.
Thanks.
So how much time, how many hours do you think you have into this car?
I spent the better part of a year just collecting parts, you know, on a budget. And once I had everything that I needed to actually start mocking up a frame and a chassis, it's about 9 months from when I started the frame to where I drove it for the first time.
Really?
Yeah. I got it done right before the Grand National Roadster Show. And I didn't build this car to be a show car. You know, I built it for what I wanted to do with it and drive it, and basically a rolling business card. Took it down there, met a bunch of cool people, introduced myself to a bunch of people, and ended up getting called on stage, and I got 3rd place in my class.
No shit.
Yeah. Blown away, almost in tears. To come away with something to be appreciated like that, that was awesome.
That's a hardcore show, dude. The Grand National Roadster Show.
That's the show of all shows. So that right there kind of humbled me into go, man, you got something special, you got something cool, and people really dig what you dig.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
It goes all right. It's still twin turbos, but it does just what it needs to do.
Absolutely. All right, you guys, well, what do you think of my friend TJ's sick 33 Plymouth? Thing's outrageous, isn't it? I mean, think about the man hours put into this, the choices that were made, the amount of hand fabrication. I mean, this is a ground up, hand-built car, man. I'm so blown away by this. TJ, thank you so much for bringing it out. You know I've been wanting to shoot this car for a while. I'm stoked we finally got to do this, dude. And I hope you guys really enjoyed this one. I mean, this is one of my favorite cars out there, man. I've been seeing this car for quite some time, and I love that we finally got to shoot it. I'm also gonna throw it out to you guys because we're constantly looking for interesting, unique vehicles to shoot. So if you got something that you think's worth shooting, bring it. Get a hold of us, shoot us a message on Instagram or email us here at YouTube. And I'd love to see your cars, man. But I don't know what else to say except for I'm thoroughly and completely blown away by this. I always thank you guys because I truly do appreciate you guys watching and supporting. So thanks for your support on the channel. And I will see you in the next episode, man. All right, later.